Okay, so I just had a mishap. Hey everybody, CJ here, local friendly technology addict and all that wonderful fun stuff. This is part 2 of me putting this thing together. So, the thing is, I paused the video, and when I reached up to unpause it, apparently what I actually hit was the flip the camera around to the front-facing camera, which stopped the video altogether instead of pausing it, of course, or even flipping the camera while it recorded live. So I lost about 5 minutes there. Anyway, I'm putting in the transistors along this bottom edge here. I've got a 1K resistor to put in. I'll do it in a moment. The transistors are labeled 9014, which I've just put in, and 9015. I'm going to go ahead and solder them in a moment after I get these in here. Now, there are many ways of soldering components to a board, and I know what works for me because I've been doing this since I was 10 years old. And a lot of people will tell you, you know what, you don't want to bend the pins on the component because you'll wind up adding stress fractures inside the component. And you know what, they're right. But at the same time, the component like this, you're not going to, it's one thing to push it in for soldering it. It's another thing if you're sitting there breadboarding something and you're constantly pushing it in and changing it and flexing it and everything. And I've been breadboarding with these things for quite some time, and I have yet to break a transistor by putting the pins in by hand without using pliers to adjust them. So I'm not worried about it. Normally when I'm dealing with a transistor, I like to know where the emitter, base, and collector are, or the drain, source, and gate, or what have you, if it's a FET. But on this board, it's very clearly marked. If you have vision problems, you're going to have difficulty with this. But it's very clearly marked on the board that the flat is on the left on this transistor and the round is on the right. So that's how I've got this arranged. I'm just going to go ahead and manually spread them into the holes on the board itself directly. I'm not even, and I'm going to miss, I'm going to scrape it a little bit, but I am not worrying about it. When I push it in to a point where it starts to fight me. It starts to give me some resistance, feedback, if you will. And it's kind of a judgment game. And then when I get there, I spread out the pins, and I'm done. Next, I'm going to go ahead and solder those in. Only takes a moment. 0, 1000, 1, 1002. I didn't get a very good solder on that, so I'm going to do it again real quick. Won't take but a moment. Okay, I like that one a lot better. Now these terminals are very close together, so you're going to need a soldering iron that's got a pencil tip, a sharp, narrow pencil tip at that, because a chisel tip is probably going to be a little too wide. Now, I could be wrong. I mean, hey, you know your tool better than I do. So if your tool will fit in there without any issue, by all means, go for it. I'm just telling you what works for me. Because what I said in the video that I thought was recording but wasn't, I'm not a professional electronics repairman. I've just been doing this as a hobby since I was 10, so I know what works for me. Now, I've already soldered these pins in, and I do not have a pair of diagonal cutters nearby, so I'm just going to fatigue the wire off. This is not the way you want to do it, generally. And honestly, I'm probably going to go and get my pair of diagonal cutters. Because this wire, wow, this wire is being really tough. Maybe I'm just not pinching it hard enough. I'm not. I can see it spinning inside my pliers. Very nice. I'll do it this way then. But by flexing the wire like this, the lead on the back side, the solder is going to hold the lead in place. So I'm not worrying about damaging the component on the other side of the board. And by doing it this way, I'm breaking the lead off flush or close to flush with the solder itself. Now, you may notice I'm also scraping up my board a little bit. Well, it's because I'm in kind of a hurry and I don't feel like doing this the right way. And we'll see if my crappy methods Honestly, if I were doing this for somebody else, for a friend, or maybe another ham or something, yeah, I would be a lot more professional. I just want to get this done. I want to see if I can do this in the next 30 minutes or less. And at this rate, I don't think I'm going to. So I'm going to go find my other pair of diagonal cutters and be right back. Alright. So this will go a little bit quicker. Excuse me, this will go a little bit more quickly. And now we've come to the other problem that I'm going to run into. That is garbage collection. So I need to make sure that I keep all of my stuff, since I don't have my trash can very close and handy. I'll keep all my trash there so I can just quickly brush it off. Alright, a 1K resistor and a 2K resistor. So I'm going to go through all of these and find that. Okay, now I'm a little confused, but I think I figured it out. So we have on the board here the 1K, and right next to it is the 2K resistor. And then we have another 2K resistor here, another 2K resistor here. I only count 3 2K resistors, and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least 1K resistors. And I have 5 1K resistors. I have 2 10K resistors. I have I think this is a 47K right here. Then I've got what looks like a, geez, is that a 23? No, that's a 50, I don't know. That's not a 2 because red is 2. And this is brown, brown, black, red, brown, black, orange. So that's brown, black, 100, so 1, 0, 100. Brown, black, 1,000, 1, 0, 1,000, so 10, 100, and 10,000. So this is a 1K and 2 10Ks. I've got 4 more 1Ks over here, so I've got 5 1K resistors. I think these are the 2K resistors. And of course now the camera won't focus back on the desk. What fun. We can focus up close though. There we go, finally. So I'm thinking that these 3 blue ones are the 2K resistors, only because I've got the same number of those that I need. And I know that there are different marking systems in different parts of the world. So I'm going to assume that those are 2K resistors just for right now, and it's trivial to unsolder them and remove them. The only other option is I go to my junk drawer and get a pair of 1Ks and tie them together in series. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on, pause the video, so you don't have to sit here and watch through it and be bored, and then we'll move on from there. Of course, I wish I'd thought of this a moment ago. That confirms it. This is a 2K resistor. And I've decided on a technique just right now thinking about it. I'm going to go ahead and use all of the part of a certain value at the same time. So I've done all 3 of the 2K resistors. I'm now going to do all 5 of the 1K resistors. And this is going to serve a couple of points. One, it will help me to maintain consistency in how I arrange the components. For instance, the resistor doesn't matter what direction you put it in, but in order to be consistent, I want the tolerance stripe to be on the same side with all of them. So if I do them all at the same time, I'm less likely to get distracted by something and put the tolerance stripe in what would then be the wrong direction somewhere else. Which, like I said, it doesn't matter which way you put a resistor in. I just want to be consistent, that's all. I'm OCD in that regard, and retentive or whatever, but it's one of those things. It's a way that I show pride in my work. So, the other thing that it does is it helps me make sure that I use all of the part in all of the right places. So, for instance, I know that I need 5 1K resistors. I know that when I'm done, all of my 1K resistors should be exhausted. So if I come around and I find a 1K resistor lying on the desk, I know that I've missed one, or I've used the wrong one somewhere else. Likewise, if I am looking around on the circuit board and I find that I don't have a 1K resistor where one is labeled to be, and I run out of 1K resistors, then I'm up a creek until I can figure out which resistor I've put in the wrong place. And I'm going ahead and putting all of the resistors in, or all of the resistors of that value in, and I'm pulling down the leads, and then I will solder them all at the same time. All of the resistors of a specific value, that is. On this particular build, I am putting all of my tolerance indicating stripes on the left or the bottom. Excuse me, left or the top of the board. Alright, so I've got my 5 1K and my 3 2K resistors. So now it's time to solder those. Something else that I've noticed over the years, and maybe somebody can explain this to me. It does not matter if I have ventilation or not. The majority of the time that I am soldering, if there are fumes, they go straight up to my face. Can somebody explain that to me, please? So the other benefit of this technique of putting all of the components in of a certain size that you're going to use, when you know you've only got 5 of them, and you know every component of that size is a 2-pin component, you know you're going to be touching 10 solder joints. I don't like this one. Yeah, just a little bit. That's better. Much better. Another thought that came to mind as I'm building this, I do not know you. I don't know your level of expertise. I don't know who you are who watch these videos. I make certain assumptions when I'm talking with people, for instance at work. Okay, I do IT work for a living, and I assume that other people who I work with should have similar experience in IT as I do. After all, we're doing the same job, right? But I find as I get older that that is rarely the case. There's always something that makes a person different. Sometimes they have Cisco experience instead of Avaya or Nortel. Sometimes they have Hewlett-Packard experience instead of IBM. Sometimes they have experience with servers instead of workstations, whatever. But I have found that I make certain assumptions, and my assumptions often turn out to be accurate, but again, they often turn out to be wrong. And the problem that I run into with that is that when I don't know the person, I don't know where they're coming from, I don't know what life has thrown at them, I don't know what they know. So I make assumptions that people know what I know. You know? I have assumed that you all, watching this video, know how to read the color stripes on those resistors. I'm also assuming that you know that those are resistors and not these diodes. But maybe you don't. And maybe you've come across this video to see how to put one of these things together. Maybe it's just by sheer dumb luck that YouTube has decided to feed you this in your recommended videos feed. Maybe not. I could be wrong. What do I know? But the fact is, you may not know these things. Therefore, if you don't know the difference between a resistor and a diode, then clearly you need some education. So while I'm sitting here soldering this stuff together, take note. The resistor is the pretty colored thing. Usually it's a light baby blue or a tan, beige, whatever you want to call that color. About the color of my knuckles here. And it will have various colors on them, or it. If I can get one of these, not all of them, please. Thank you. You'll notice that one of them is either gold or silver in most cases, and that is your tolerance indicator. You start from the other end. In this case, gold is over here on the left, so we start at the other end. I see yellow, purple, and I believe that's either red or orange. The color of the lamp is skewing it, but I think it's orange. So yellow and purple is 4 and 7. Orange is 3. So it's 4, 7, followed by 3 zeros. 470, or excuse me, 47,000. In other words, 47K, which, by the way, goes right there. So, hey, I already know where it is. I may as well go ahead and put it on, right? Remember, I'm putting all of my tolerance stripes on the left. Not that it matters, because it really doesn't. And now that I'm putting the 47 in here, I know that all of my 47s are done, because I only had one of them. And I got 10 minutes left, and I am not even halfway through this. So I'm not going to make it. But yeah, if oh, I need to do that one again. I don't like that. If you don't know the difference between a resistor and a capacitor, or a resistor and a diode, or a diode and a, I don't know, an inductor, then Google is your friend. Or excuse me, not Google. It's kind of disingenuous using Google services for YouTube and then not recommending Google as a browser. But I use DuckDuckGo. I value my privacy. I also value what Google offers, but at the same time, I think it's a little creepy how they go about it. Like I said, I try to hold my breath when I've got fumes in my face. I like that. Wish, no I don't. Little crooked there. We're going to fix that real quick. Perhaps if I can heat them both up at the same time without bridging them. Maybe not. I may have to desolder those and try again. I'm going to pause the video while I do that. Okay, so this is as far as I've gotten. I've got all 4 of the component connectors. There we go. All 4 of these component connectors, or wire connectors, or whatever they are, in place. I've got all 6 of the switches in place. I've got the 47K, all 5 of the 1K, and all 3 of the 2K resistors in place. And that only took me about 45 minutes to do that little bit. So, of course, part of that was having to desolder some of the leads on one of the switches to get it to push back in place. And also I had to get my child to come over and push down right here long enough for me to tack the switches in place so that I could solder them better. But that's it for this video. And I'm going to go ahead and start this one uploading to YouTube, and we'll finish up when I get back. I got some things I got to do. So until next time, stay tuned. This is CJ, your local friendly technology addict, signing off for now.